Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third annual CX Connect event. I'm Bob Fernikes. I'm the publisher of CRM Media, and I'll be your host for this week. Thanks for joining us for our opening session, Revolutionizing CX through AI, sponsored by NICE. Before I jump in, though, we just have a couple of housekeeping items. We will have a question and answer segment at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen while they're fresh in your mind. Also, if you have, we also have a chat, which is also open, and you can speak with us or other people, but if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the Q&A so we don't lose them. Finally, at the end of the session, we will be choosing one attendee as the winner of our $50 Amazon gift card, but you must be present to win. And I would like to thank this session's sponsor, NICE, and we have a brief video message now from them, and we'll come back right after that's played.
Attention!
Great customer experiences can go a long way. Making experiences flow, that's the NICE way.
Okay, so now to introduce our speakers for today, we've got Elizabeth Tobey, Head of Marketing Digital Solutions at NICE, and Geoff Abels, Managing Partner, C5 Insight, and Chairman of our Smart Customer Service Conference. Geoff's going to be moderating the question and answer section at the end of the presentation, so please give him some really good questions to work with. So now I'm going to turn the event over again to Elizabeth Tobey, who's just back from NICE Interactions 2023 with some fresh information revealed last week. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Hello, thanks so much for joining today. I'm going to switch over and share my screen to get this started. All right. So want to thank everyone today for joining me. I'm Elizabeth Tobey. I am the head of marketing for NICE's Digital Solutions Group. And today we're going to be talking about the hot topic in CX, conversational and generative AI and ChatGPT, AI in general, and how this technology is not just the future of exceptional customer service, but it's a must now for both businesses, their employees, and their customers alike. Using artificial intelligence for customer experience is by no means a new trend. And while generative AI is a relative newcomer to the scene, recent advancements with the technology has made it come to the mainstream. Today, we're going to be talking about what these technologies are and what they mean, touch a bit on what makes them so powerful, and discuss how using a combination of purpose-built AI solutions for customer experience is the crucial next step to take this technology from novel and interesting to relevant and useful. And then we're going to go over the thinking at NICE and how we are applying this and talk about that recent announcement from last week, the next big leap in Enlighten, which we unveiled at our conference, Interactions. Enlighten fundamentally changes how we interact with unstructured data and has changed the way we can interact and utilize AI in combination with our work and in collaboration. So to get started, let's jump in and talk a bit about the building blocks of generative AI and this technology. So when it comes to great customer experience powered by generative AI, you need more than just this robust large language model to deliver the best results. You need to be purpose-built for tasks and for it to be accurate and trustworthy every time. So there are many ways you can define what a large language model is. I chose from Wikipedia that it consists of a neural network with many parameters, which means in the billions, trained on large quantities of unlabeled data using self-supervised learning. That combination of deep learning and those massive data sets allow the AI to understand, to summarize, to predict, and most importantly, to generate new content. Generative AI is closely linked to LLMs because they are, in fact, a type of generative AI, and that has been architected specifically to create new text-based content. And AI language models date back as far as the 60s, but this technology has advanced very significantly in the past few years. And more importantly, its usability has come into the mainstream applications. I'm sure almost all of you have at least played around with ChatGPT sometime in the last couple months. And LLMs like the one that power ChatGPT do have their drawbacks, especially when you're talking about it in the enterprise grade scenario. They're trained on data sets that are from the open internet, which is a huge trove of information, but it might not always be trustworthy, it might not be secure, it might not be accurate or up to date. And so for the purposes of business, and particularly for customer service and experience scenarios, LLMs have to meet the needs and guidelines of brands and use them and make them absolutely secure, absolutely factual, and always trustworthy every single time. So let's take a step back, let's get back into the human side of things. And talk about how we interact as people, both in our personal lives and our professional. So you can break down interactions into these three categories. You need to be able to walk around and to talk to people, and you need to be able to process that meaning and respond. Think of that as conversation, conversing. You also need to not just be able to converse, but you need to be able to understand the context and the nuances of that conversation. Not just hold a conversation, but be able to react and respond and know what to do next, understanding. And then finally, it's more procedural part of your brain to act on what is being done. You need to be able to grab your car keys and then go to the store, buy your loaf of bread, come home, put it away. To accomplish these tasks, whether they're simple or complex, you need to be able to act on what's been said and take the next logical step. And you can basically break down every interaction that a human has into these three segments. So then if you think about this and apply it to contact centers and to customer experience, humans, be them agents or employees or even consumers, they're going to use these three same categories to interact and in the purposes of business to accomplish their work. They're answering calls and chats, and they're doing other vital components that are required for great CX. And in the context of business, we train humans to do this work and to do it well and to do it how we as businesses want it to be done. And so to be able to converse well in a business scenario, we train people to understand that business language. They know the products and services, and they know how to solve problems within the scope of their job. To understand, we've trained them how to identify needs from their customers and figure out what the optimal resolution should be. And then finally, to act, we've trained folks on the systems that they need to accomplish their tasks, whether that's accessing tools, typing out the appropriate information, upgrading accounts. This list is unending. And this knowledge and training is crucial to having great customer experience and to have an excellent workforce. Now, to take it one step further, we can apply the same logic into our everyday lives, and we spend an enormous amount of time and effort to create these human-led interactions. And then we can overlay these same thinking and these same tools powered by artificial intelligence. And so now we're talking about bots, IVAs, and it's been a goal for a while in business to make these tools as human-like as possible. So why do bots still have such a bad reputation? And so if I asked most of you to name off the top of your head a frustrating experience you've had recently with a bot or an IVA, probably you're going to go with something like, I asked a question and I got a response back that was either a variation of, I don't understand, or it picked out a specific keyword and gave you something irrelevant, but sort of close to what you were asking, or it simply asked you to rephrase the question. It's not a good customer experience, it's not responsive, and it's definitely not human-like. And so that's where you get folks pounding 0 or typing into chat, speak to an agent, because these tools aren't trusted and they're not fit for purpose. They don't have the knowledge and they don't have the training necessary to meet the goals that they were created to achieve. So how do we solve this? And that's the core issue that we have today. Consumers want these digital tools. We know they want to interact with them. We would prefer that rather than staying and waiting for a human interaction. But we have to solve the problem and the gaps these tools have to stop causing that frustration and making consumers feel like they're wasting their time on these inadequate bots. And to do that, you have to solve for what we've grappled with for a while now, having an IVA that can converse, that can understand, that can act, just like your best employees do. So let's talk about chat. And that brings in generative pre-trained transformers, GPT. This is the family of LLMs that have radically improved how bots can listen, can respond, can learn. And we're not talking about a good to great, we're talking about a jump from good to phenomenal. It's a huge leap forward, and we're already seeing the benefits in things like ChatGPT. But then we get back to that initial quandary with LLMs. They're trained on data from the open internet. And in the context of CX, we don't need that information. In fact, we don't want all of that information actively. What we want is something that's trained only on the data and requirements necessary for the business in question to achieve its goals. Nothing irrelevant, nothing outdated, nothing off topic, and certainly nothing false. Now let's take back a step and think about the why of Enlighten, the solution I'm going to dive into a little bit later today, and how it is so important to both business employees and consumers. So when we look at what it takes to be successful, there are three core business challenges right now that stand out across all verticals. The first is complexity, processes, complexity of infrastructure, and complexity related to scale. Then rising costs, especially labor costs. They're affecting brands' abilities to get things done in the most skilled way possible. And finally, there's loyalty. With the rising costs and complexity, how can organizations build and maintain customer loyalty? And how can they generate the right experiences for consumers and differentiate their businesses? So let's bring in the AI part, which is already playing a pivotal role in today's business world, and it's going to be growing even stronger moving forward. We believe that AI is the only way that we can address all of these core business challenges, and in a way no other technology can. They can help in all three of these key areas. They can increase the velocity of decision-making in order to overcome that complexity and make smarter and faster decisions that are proactively led by AI, which is a really key point. We can empower employee capabilities with AI to amplify skilled labor, which will lower costs and will also help those employees do more impactful work. And we can create personalized and humanized customer interactions that look and feel like those human-led interactions that can drive loyalty with AI-led resolutions with differentiation and with satisfaction. It's really important for these to be effective and to be conversational, which is why the generative AI component of this is such a huge boon to us. Now, all of this has contributed to the new renewed interest in AI and this next generation generative AI piece. They're just so closely interwoven. So as we touched on before, generative AI is usually based on generally available public data, and also it's reactive. Users type in a request or a question or a prompt and they get a response back, much like what you see with ChatGPT. But it's not always dependable, and it has very few security assurances. And so if you think about the needs of AI for business, the same underlying conversational generative AI capability is being applied, but it is a completely different flavor. It's typically based on specific and internal business data. And in some instances, we are using curated external sources, but that curated piece is very important. And when this AI engages in a reactive way with users, it also has the ability to be preemptive and to be proactive, jumping in real time when needed to help out with suggestive prompts and actions. And it also uses, very importantly, the highest security guardrails for business, and it ensures that responses are always aligned with the messaging and brand needs and the business goals, and there's zero tolerance for misinformation. So diving back into the world of that consumer and the customer needs, we have an ever increasing complexity of needs and demands, anywhere from a customer thinking about a product and starting to research, all the way through to the resolution of a specific event. And back in ye olde day, these needs were met with a voice call with an agent on the other end of the line to help out. As things started to scale, we added in things like IVRs for self-service and chat on digital properties. And then as things continued to evolve, various channels entered the mix, like email, like web self-service, even FAQ bots, albeit, as I would say, historically rather ineffective. And then as businesses started to focus on digital transformation, next-gen channels such as search engine, in-app messaging, and others, the list is unending and growing by the day, they became more important than ever, and they became preferred channels for consumers. And while this somewhat addressed the needs of the consumer experience, it ignored the agent experience. Agents need fair evaluation. They need flexible scheduling, the right answers for the problems they're facing, effective tools that are easy to use and can provide that optimal customer experience that they've been hired to provide. And then to address these requirements, there's a wide array of point solutions, including everything from case management to generic AIs to CRMs. And these were all loosely brought together and through a variety of solutions and teams, sort of cobbled into an overarching solution. But then the most important group of this entire constituency is the business itself, which has its own objectives. And that sort of has become a secondary concern, if not lost altogether, in what is a very complex and fast-moving and high-demand ecosystem. The need to improve satisfaction while also improving acquisition and retention of both consumers and agents is critical, especially given the heightened focus of efficiency and of the macro landscape we're facing today. So to try and meet these objectives, businesses are continually adding more and more solutions to these separate and siloed technologies. Best intentions, best laid plans. And that is how the result has yielded a disjointed and loosely tied together stack of technologies and professional services. We lovingly call this the Frankenstack, and I like to always say, for anyone who is into literature, I like to say it's actually Frankenstack's monster. And while no brand has ever set out to build something that looks like this, it is the result of point decisions and point solutions. But if you back out a little bit about that, what brands were in search of was a solution that could work across all categories and on one unified platform. And so that's where CX1 for us comes in. But rather than talking about CX1 quite so in depth, I'd like to talk about why one single platform matters. And so if you look at this one easy, simple interaction, a customer here calls in, chats in, wants to cancel their contract because they have a competitive offer that's better for their needs, and they want to save money. And in a siloed system, an agent would maybe be able to look up that customer's account and authenticate them, but the idea of making a counteroffer to retain that customer is possibly, and many of you have had this experience before, a transfer away. And so in this situation, the customer just wants to cancel the contract, does not want to move forward, does not want to deal with that friction. And in the interaction too, where there is a unified platform where information and data and tools are interconnected, where there doesn't need to be a transfer or switch of systems, the agent would not only be able to look up that customer, would also be able to find out pricing information and to be able to turn this frustrating experience that is also siloed into one that's holistic, be able to give everything that customer needs in one go, which would retain the customer by giving them a counteroffer, perhaps in this interaction, a triple play bundle, retain them, the lifetime value was increased of that customer. And so then you think about what can take this even further. I've now just talked about an agent-led interaction. Imagine what this platform could do if we infused it with AI to help drive these and other interactions towards their best end results. And that's where Enlighten comes in. It's the trusted AI for business. We have decades of historical data containing everything from every interaction you can imagine in every industry you can think of. And now we've used that to train over 200 models to build CX-specific AI. And combined with the power of generative AI, integrated into one comprehensive platform like CX1, we've launched 3 new solutions that help the needs and goals of the business, the employees, and the customers alike. And we have an eye to help all 3 of these every time with every solution. Enlighten is brilliantly human solution that's guided by the parameters and training specific to business needs, making it secure, accurate, and trustworthy. Enlighten is the world's first and only AI solution built specifically for the CX world. And it's combining generative AI, CX1's vast array of data and applications. It's trusted and it's secure. It fully aligns with business goals and brand messaging and operationalized as part of CX1. And so it's fully embedded into every customer service stakeholder's daily activities. And so to talk about the three solutions that I just referenced, they are Enlighten Autopilot, Enlighten Copilot, and Enlighten Actions. Autopilot is for consumers, Copilot is for employees, meaning agents, employees, and their supervisors, and Actions is for business operations and for business leaders. So to talk about Autopilot, when your consumers interact with this solution, it will act as your best and most trusted employee. It creates fully personalized experiences and aligns each response with your brand and business goals. It includes the following capabilities: conversational knowledge, trusted, informed company knowledge based on your business objectives, available across all customer journey entry points, made accessible by human-friendly generative AI, so you can have that conversational interaction. Web and mobile guidance, real-time proactive outreach when customers need assistance or when they are in need of any guidance, and AI-driven proactive virtual agents, smart, fast, self-service and effective self-service. That's AI designed from the ground up based on customer interaction data. Moving on to Copilot, which is for both employees and for supervisors. It's centralized assistance, making every employee informed and guided and almost a more powerful super employee. When your employees co-piloting with Enlighten, it generates across the board power amplification for their job. And what does that mean? Conversational knowledge for those agents. So again, that information at the tip of their hands being proactively fed to them so that they can lead more cohesive, effective, delightful interactions with their consumers. Real-time guidance, providing that proactive guidance for the employees during those interactions to help them be more efficient, have better resolutions, and to improve their performance in real time. And task automation, replacing mundane and error-prone manual processes in a way that's simple and effective and automated. Will also help with supervisors, providing them better and more tailored and personalized feedback, coaching, guidance. And last, but certainly not least, Enlighten Actions unleashes unprecedented power to orchestrate your CX business. It proactively uncovers areas for AI-driven optimization, and it can carry out fairly complex activities. So this is going to revolutionize what a CX leader's business and job and roles and responsibilities and work even looks like, to help them understand their operations and then enable them to take action by combining Enlighten's very specialized AI models that are built for CX with generative AI technology, industry benchmarks as well. And then when you run your business with Enlighten Actions, you can see your decision velocity increase as much as tenfold. It includes that conversational knowledge. Apologies, I just went backwards. It includes conversational knowledge, which again puts that information into the hands of everyone from that agent all the way to your highest operation or CX leader. It has journey routing and orchestration to proactively pinpoint optimal areas for routing channels, transitions, journey flows. You can automate things directly in the studio. Also ways to optimize scheduling and performance and automate those actions, which can leverage CX1's suite of advanced applications to actually carry out any of those associated activities. And CX benchmarks, comparing your organization to industry benchmarks for AI-driven insights that help set and achieve those business priorities. So looking at these all holistically, the future of CX is happening right now. This announcement last week is available. And these three Enlightened business solutions, as I said, are targeting individual constituents, but are aimed to lift the abilities and make the journey and the experience for all three delightful across all three of them. And the brilliant thing about them is that everything here has tools that helps unlock some power to make those experiences less frictionful. It's imperative that we think you solve for the employee needs, the consumer needs, and the leadership needs every time you're looking for a solution. That's the true way to achieve success. And then if you look at this in the holistic journey that we've been thinking about to improve all customer experience interactions, not just in the contact center, but from the very beginning to the very end of any journey, Autopilot, Copilot, and Actions are the AI driving power behind NICE's entire customer experience interactions, CXI framework. It brings together the consumers, the employees, and businesses across these 5 core connected pillars: digital and voice entry points, journey orchestration, smart self-service, empowered agents, and complete performance. And then when you add it in, it's all delivered as part of this one single unified platform, CX1, which is the world's leading cloud-native CX platform, so that AI-led insights, decisions, and actions are all integrated into that daily business workflow, and that daily business workflow is interfaced by all of the people we've just talked about. So I'm going to hop back a bit and talk about how these products work, just at a very high level. So let's go back to conversation, understanding, and action. With Autopilot and Copilot, Enlighten either enables an AI-driven solution, whether it's a bot or an IVA, to understand and to act when interacting with consumers, instead of having a human-led interaction. And with Copilot, these tools are working in tandem with the consumers to provide better insights, and with the agents to help them make better decisions and to act and to be able to be more effective in those interactions, so that whatever the needs are of the consumer and whatever they're facing and whatever channel they're reaching out of, whatever that task is, they can respond to it more effectively and faster. And since Enlighten is trained and guided by that business language and that business constitution, those historical and business specific interactions, just like a well-trained employee, the solutions know what to talk about, what not to talk about, and exactly how the business wants these messages conveyed. So both Autopilot and Copilot know the optimal ways to resolve issues and how to use the tools and systems at the disposal of the business to accomplish those necessary tasks. Enlighten pairs GPT technology with billions of voice and text interactions, both historical and specific to the business. And this accomplishes the work we do in all of these solutions. And so just to give you an understanding of both the breadth and the depth of this knowledge, these interactions span pretty much every vertical you can think of. And we have built over 200 models for a wide swath of different use cases. So for example, we use Enlighten XO Experience Optimization, which is our set of models specifically geared towards that experience optimization used in self-service situations and use cases. They identify the most successful and impactful workflows for automation and where there might be gaps in your business that automation could help solve. And using these specific models geared towards those individual use case paired with CX1's many solutions, we start to see a connection for how these solutions can work together and make each better, smarter, and more effective. And then the last piece of that puzzle, which really makes Enlighten a complete solution, is the ability to ingest, process, and incorporate third-party data across the organization, which will allow us insights that take in the full context of the entire business's reality. And then this is all made possible by building everything to work natively within the CX1 common data model, which brings everything together and brings it into the cloud. And finally, even though this technology is transformative enough on its own, I want to talk a little bit about Enlighten Actions and how we can add on that natural language interface made possible with GPT to make it accessible to everyone and to leaders and to operational folks simply by asking questions. And so let's see what that looks like in practice, because when I say now you can ask a question of this technology and get an answer and get some insights and results from this unstructured data that's lying beneath the surface. That sometimes is hard to wrap your head around. I know until I saw this demo, I had trouble picturing it. So in this scenario, we're going to say, what do I need to know about my service operations today? A fairly broad question, I know. Enlighten Actions, by interfacing with all of that data, will generate a dashboard of relevant information based on that specific question. And so we're going to highlight here a couple things that we as a CX leader are looking at. Top trends of CX operations that are including CSAT scores, transfer rate, upgrade conversations, and then you'll see, the top contact reasons that are going on right now in the business, and even your top performing agents. And then you see on the right, Enlighten Actions is working with the CX leader and has highlighted a top performer and included those performance metrics of that person. And then finally, you can see where you can continue the conversation, which is a weird thing I know to say with data, using Enlighten Actions to dig deeper into what you as a leader need to know and do today to accomplish whatever your business goals are. So let's say that you want to know more about premium upgrade conversations, and you say, do we have intent mapping for premium upgrade? Enlighten Actions from that question can go and display intent mapping for premium upgrades specifically on the same dashboard. And as you can see here, a couple more areas of highlighting. In addition to your query directly into the chat window, Actions has also added that intent mapping to the main dashboard, and you can further customize it based on any questions that come up or things you want to dig into more based on your current focus. And then Enlighten can even suggest potential actions for you to take next, such as automating that process going forward. And yes, Enlighten can also help with that. From there, you can continue to uncover more insights and opportunities. And if you think back on some of these questions before, you would maybe need to interface with a research or a data team. The time to go from question to answer and then second question, second answer is cut down from hours or days to minutes. Not only does Enlighten Actions make it easier to access that data, it can also help you analyze and determine those actionable next steps from that information. And it works in tandem with the business leaders to investigate, to understand, and to take those next steps, all within this platform. So I know I've gone through quite a bit today, but in this short amount of time, if there is anything I want you to take away from this talk, it's that generative AI is giving a voice to technology and data in ways that previously we have only ever been able to dream about. And purpose-built solutions for customer experience unlock our ability to use this technology and better the lives of both employees and consumers while helping businesses achieve their goals and achieve them faster. With Enlighten, we're better able to meet customers wherever they are, whenever they want, however they want, and help them have a frictionless experience from beginning to end, from high to buy with the brand, no matter where that journey begins and where it takes us. And we're now able to give better insights, guidance, and assistance to business on every level, from brand new agent all the way up to the most tenured employee and leader at the top, to help them get their work done more effectively. So I want to say thank you for going on that very grand tour with me today. At this point, I'd love to open it up for questions for anyone.
Elizabeth, thank you so much. That was a tremendous amount of information and knowledge in a very small amount of time. So I'm not quite sure how you did that much that quickly, but I've got a ton of notes and my own questions, but some others have come in from the audience. So let me hit on some of those first. First up, someone asked about Enlighten and how it can, the specific question was, how can Enlighten or has Enlighten enabled a reduction in headcount? But I think that's really a bigger question couched in that, and that is scalability, right? So if an organization is growing, can they continue to scale without scaling their headcount as quickly? Or if they're already at scale, can they get some efficiencies by using Enlighten?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's one that's a hot topic and sometimes a fear. I would say that our main goal here is efficiency and collaboration and around impactful work. There are some worlds where jobs, I think, will evolve and change. There's one scenario in the past where we were helping a brand where they had a triage team that was literally helping to categorize incoming chats and figure out where they should go next. And using some of these solutions, we were able to eliminate that triage team, which in practice for that brand meant that they went on to do other work rather than just literally categorizing work. So when I think about Enlighten these solutions, I'm not thinking about having an IVA replace a human, but I am thinking about them replacing a specific amount of human work. But if you think about the more rote interactions that we actually wish our phones today could answer for us, those aren't the ones that need the brain power of a human-led interaction. That's where Copilot will come in to help them be faster and more effective. But for autopilot, when you actually go to upgrade your account, move your home because you moved somewhere else, get a refill of a prescription, that's where Enlighten's really going to be helping, so we can save that time. And we do know right now in the workforce, folks do want that more impactful and interactive work. And having that skilled labor and keeping them engaged and happy and not moving on to other roles, that's where autopilot can really help, as well as Copilot, because it will enable folks to feel like they are doing meaningful work that uses their whole self, which is great for engagement and employee happiness.
I love that answer. I mean, if I were to encapsulate all that, it's more about unleashing the humans of our workplaces to do the things that humans can uniquely do, and unbinding them from tasks that are redundant, repetitive, and frankly, kind of dehumanizing, and instead allow them to create, innovate, respond, and connect to other humans.
Yes, and again, not sacrificing any of the goals or letting down any of the consumers in terms of what they're looking for and what their expectations are.
Very cool. So next up is a very tactical question, and it's asked about ChatGPT. And I know this isn't really about ChatGPT. It's about kind of this large language model, generative AI, that ChatGPT has kind of become the biggest first known thing for. But perhaps you can answer this question either for that or even within Enlighten, and that's this idea of, can it present video content? So if a question is asked, can it present video content, search and find video and play video on its own, or is that out of the domain right now?
Yes and no, and also I am not the technical programmer to sign in blood the answer, but the answer is yes. Maybe not with ChatGPT, because there are different kinds of generative AI models, ones that work only on text and some that work on images. So again, it depends which model and which piece of technology you're interfacing with. But the answer is yes. Images, videos, those kinds of things are solutions that will be able to be integrated. It's really about the technology you choose. I'm fairly certain ChatGPT only works still in the text realm, but we've played around with things like Midjourney as humans in the past to make images. So that it's definitely something that is coming, and I think will also be part of this new technology trend. And I would probably say we're talking more in the months time frame rather than the years till we see that innovation hitting the market. Nice.
Okay. Very cool. I imagine that would be more and more helpful, right? As people are interacting with these smart agents, then that it's going to be able to look at your full knowledge base, whether it's a video format or text format, and present it back to you within the context of the chat and whatever is most meaningful. So exciting that that's coming.
And it can really unlock things like accessibility. Not all of us are equally well versed in written text. It's not how we like to interact. It's not how we like to learn. So being able to interact with and meet the needs of consumers, no matter what they need or what they prefer, that does incorporate needing images and needing video to really meet the needs of everyone.
Thank you. And someone said thanks for the clarification on that. In fact, accessibility is huge. I hadn't even thought about that, but the ability to kind of say, I can present content to you in the format you prefer, or even with whatever your limitations are on consuming content, I can get this to you in a format that you can consume and is meaningful to you. Cool. The next couple are about models. So I guess the large language models for specific cases. So I'm not quite sure of the relevance of these because I don't know Enlighten deeply myself, but someone asks, do you have a model specifically already trained for mutual fund companies? And maybe related to that, the next question is, your models, can a customer of yours take your models and expand upon those models to create their own new models?
Some technical questions that I will want people to grab my contact information for, so I can get you in contact with a solutions engineer. The answer is depending on what you're talking about around mutual funds, the answer is probably yes. Again, a little bit too broad for me to promise that. And again, customization, one of the things we like to say is things can be done out of the box and deployed quickly. You know, we've cited that we got things up and running for folks during the pandemic within 48 hours. That doesn't mean every solution is always that straightforward. So being able to customize and meet the needs based on what the individual use case is or the individual business is something that we also work hard for. But effectiveness and straightforward implementation is also a huge goal for us. So the answer is probably yes, but depending on the specifics of what you're looking for, we want to probably connect you to one of our engineers who can actually talk to you about which components make the most sense for you.
Okay. Hey, a question from me now is, you played the vision you shared was awesome. And then when you kind of went through the little bit of an interactive demo there at the end is where you really brought it home to me, right? All those things you kind of brought out, Copilot, autopilot actions, and kind of looking at some of those and how they might actually work in the user's experience and maybe customer's experience. I'm guessing that there is a hunger for more of that among the people who are here today. Can you give them some pointers for where can they go to get a demo of Enlighten to learn more?
So go to nice.com right now, and on our opening modules, you will see some interstitials for Enlighten. I think the URL is AI for business, nice.com/AI for business. But just go to nice.com and find it, and you will be able to contact us and talk to us. We have more comprehensive demos. I think if they're not up already, they're going up. Both Barack and Barry, our CEO and our president of CX's keynotes from Interactions, which go into these demos far more extensively because they had more time than I did. And we will also be putting out some on-demand videos. I am also working on right now a webinar series around this. So check back later in the week. And we also did a generative AI webinar series earlier, which you'll be able to find on that site. Really more around education and how to apply this for business, because one of the things that I found is folks really want to know how to cut through all of the noise and the hype and know, how do I actually get this in market for my business and my needs in 2023? And so all of that can be covered there.
Nice. So tons of resources on the nice.com website already there, more being surfaced imminently. And it sounds like a series of webinars coming soon. So keep coming back and stay tuned to be able to participate in those.
Yes.
All right. Another question. Someone's asking, will there be a log of service operations to go back to it when needed? So I guess is behind the scenes, is Enlighten logging all of these interactions in a way that an administrator can get to them to see what has occurred? I
think I understand what you're saying, and I'm pretty sure if I am, that the answer is yes. And I think this is more talking around the idea of Copilot and being able to have insights for supervisors. And the answer is absolutely. One of the things that I think Copilot's really great at is, this is one part of the demo that I didn't completely get to, but if you have a new employee onboarding, and you see, a gap in their training, and you can see on the dashboard in real time, Enlighten Copilot can help that supervisor find out, why that new employee's customer satisfaction is not as high as it should be, exactly where they're going wrong, be able to work with Copilot to have some personalized coaching, and then send it to that employee. And all of those, of course, yes, would be logged, but that kind of back and forth tracking and that assistance to help, again, gets very targeted, very tailored feedback. both for that supervisor and that employee to get them exactly what they need and get it faster. So you can imagine efficiencies across, again, all three of the constituents there. And especially in the eyes of that new agent, everyone wants to get onboarded and understand and their feet under them in their job as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I was when you showed the demo and you talked about here's kind of my leaderboard of my best performing agents, my mind went to, the positive reinforcement is great, but also what about the ones who aren't performing well? Because this is a golden opportunity to be able to more rapidly identify them, more rapidly identify the skill gaps, compare, contrast them to the leaders, and get them the learning and education tools they need to quickly get up the same speed as someone else, onboarding people faster and allowing them to do their best job. So great answer to that, super, super helpful. Someone's saying they're going to CCW in Vegas, and they're wondering if you or any of your colleagues will be there so they can connect with you there.
I will not be there. I like to say that I am a hermit who rarely ever leaves her house. But we will absolutely be there, and we will absolutely be talking about Enlighten. So you will 100% be able to find us there. I'm working on the materials now, so I know it will be very interesting.
Perfect. So for the person who asked that, or for anyone else who happens to be going to CCW, I would imagine if you go to NICE's contact page, you can probably make contact with them there and kind of set up a meeting while you're out at that event to learn a little bit more and connect with some of the people that work there. Okay, keep the questions coming, but I'm going to be selfish now since I've gone through the ones from the audience. I want to ask some of the ones that came to me as we did this. So there's tons of companies that are doing things with AI, right? AI is appearing in everything. It's on the big headline consumer-based companies, but also, the more subtle B2B companies. So how is what Enlighten is doing different than what people might be seeing in similar applications?
Yeah, I think we go back to what I said is the breadth and the depth of what we're doing. So it's not just about AI. One of my general managers says, like, AI is boring. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, next level, cool. But the idea here is AI in combination with other tools is effective. What we're seeing here is you have this unified platform that can grab everyone from the moment they search through their journey, which is, as we know, very powerful. We have the AI to help guide employees, customers, and businesses. And then we have this interface now, which is why the GPT of it all is so huge, so that everyone can actually just talk in a human way to this technology and get that information back. Everybody has mountains and mountains of data and no time and no resources to analyze it fast enough. And being able to unlock that on all of these different use cases is really the huge piece of it. And because we have such a wide span and such a strong foundation right now of historical data, of models, and of this platform that works with our own technologies as well as third-party technologies, we are able to not just provide these solutions, but also integrate them into something that we already know is working unbelievably well to create a great customer experience.
Awesome. So I want to cue in on that last term you just used. You're a customer experience company. I'm a customer experience person, and there's probably a lot of customer experience people here because of that today. So in that customer experience marketplace, the technology solutions to support a good customer journey, what are some of the gaps in AI that you see right now that you anticipate filling?
I think that idea of being able to guide and make folks understand and be able to take the next action with a more informed decision, and also to, I don't want to say skip steps, but help them take those actions more effectively, quickly, faster, frictionlessly, is really where we're seeing huge success. You're seeing this use case of fully conversational and personalized self-service that understands intent no matter how you say, please help me. You're seeing information where an agent can just type in, I need to know XYZ because a customer is asking me right now, and this AI can feed it back. You can see a supervisor saying, please generate a report about ABC things so I can help my new onboards. And an operations leader, my CEO just told me I need to improve ABC. Show me all this data so that I can figure out how to do that. Instead of that being a month-long task with a fleet of engineers and analysts, you can do that on your own from your keyboard.
Excellent. So we had started this Q&A and you used a word that I think a lot of people are associating with AI today. And that word is fear, right? And maybe put differently, another word is disruption. And disruption can be very positive. Disruption can be fearful and negative. So as you think about businesses and even not just the business itself, but even how the business cares for the people within the business, how do they prepare for and deal with this new disruptive thing that's coming out to prepare them as a business and to prepare their team to be successful with it?
Education for the specific use cases. I think that, I spend a lot of my time reading about AI technology in general, but I spend more of my time thinking about it for business applications. I would not, in almost any circumstance, recommend you try and actually integrate ChatGPT into your business for a variety of reasons around trust and accuracy. We are using OpenAI's GPT API, a lot of acronyms there, to help us, but that is an entirely different thing. So I would say here is where the importance of education for your exact need and a conversation with a trusted partner. Sure, it can be nice, but there's other folks out there who understand AI to help you meet that need. I think that one of the things that makes us a very unique solution, again, I'm going back to the breadth and depth of it, is because we have so much, we don't have to focus on one specific use case or one specific solution, but we can help match the right need to make the best impact for the business. And I think that helps move things faster and get you to implementation that really moves the needle, no matter what the use case is.
So understand the use cases, get your team educated at all levels, from executives to frontlines people, in terms of getting their skill set ready, preparing for the change, and encourage some playing and experimentation, but in a safe sandbox where you're not going to be compromising security, privacy, and those kinds of things. Yes,
exactly.
Okay. I know we're getting close to the end of our session. I'm going to ask you the impossible question, because it's, if you had asked us a year ago, would we be where we are now, or what would you predict for a year? I don't think anyone would have predicted this, right? It kind of, like, a lot of change happened when only a few people in the market had the foresight to see it. So let me ask you the impossible question now. A year from now, what do you see happening? What's changing? What's going on in the marketplace with all this, or other things that are emerging now that will impact it?
Yeah, I think this notion of personalization and scale and efficiencies and focus on loyalty is going to continue to take center stage. A year ago, I was saying that if I had a prediction for 2023, folks were going to be spending more money with fewer brands and the ones that meet whatever their needs are. Now, again, some folks may be competing on cost and some may be competing on convenience and comfort. So again, having that personalization and that targeting is so important. And the idea that we are scaling as businesses too quickly to just keep piling bodies and new fractured technologies onto the problem. So that kind of cohesion, and where companies who say they are, we are a CX company. Are we an AI company? And what really is the difference, and does it matter? I think that's where you're going to see things changing in the next year, where we're not going to be talking about these as like separate, bespoke, novel, slightly overwhelming technologies, but absolutely integrated into what we are doing. Even the idea of what a tech company is, I think, has become sort of standardized and normalized. There are definitely companies out there that are not tech companies, but also, are there? And so I think that's really where we're going with AI, and where in a year you're going to see this being taken on. This is not going to be something that folks are knowing they have to implement, but it's going to be integrated and integral to their entire business. And it's going to be something that literally everyone who's here on this call are going to be using somewhere in their day-to-day life.
It's going to be just like the internet or the mobile phone or something like that. It's going to impact everything that we do. So I'm going to ask you one more follow-up question, because we have a few more minutes, and I'm queuing in on one thing that you said, because I found it interesting, right? You're a company who's about CX, you're about AI, you're about technology, but if I heard you right, we're saying look, don't just throw new technology out there. Don't do what companies did, 5 or 10 years ago and say, everybody's doing bots. We have to have a bot. And then they throw bots out there that aren't well conceived, that may not align well with their brand and all of those kinds of things. So my question to you is this. First of all, did I hear that right? And if so, what are your recommendations for a company who's saying we want to do this strategically? What are the 2 or 3 things we need to think about to align our CX technology and our AI technology to deliver on-brand strategies and messages and technologies into our customer relationships?
That takes longer than I think the 4 minutes we have left, so I will give you the clip notes version. I really think that it is about also bringing in everyone who interacts with the customer experience. If you look at my background, I've done everything from PR to actually running support teams, because I believe that community, support, marketing, PR, they're all the same thing, just different stages of the life cycle. And I am thrilled that that thesis statement that I fought so hard for a decade ago is probably something that everybody nods their head over now. So I would say, bring all of those stakeholders in, operations, technology, front of house, back of house, whatever you're talking about, and make sure that their insights and their pain points and their use cases are integrated, because that is one of the pieces that this technology is going to help with, is being able to give everyone access to all of that disparate data and use it to make all of their lives better. But to do that as an organization, there is a little bit of internal organizational change that needs to go on. But again, when you go back to that Frankenstack, those technologies are all created by the very pressing and well-intentioned needs of each different team and each different department. But you can combine and consolidate those if you talk more. And so I think that being able to, as you're bringing on this new technology, really involving more of those stakeholders at the outset, just even if it's individual use cases as you bring in each one, will help you not repeat those problems that sometimes take more time to untangle once you move at scale.
Elizabeth, thank you. So give more of your stakeholders a voice. Don't rush into it. Have a strategy, not just for technology, but for listening to everybody, understanding the user stories, capturing those so that you're moving methodically forward. I know that doesn't even begin to do justice to what you just said, and what you just said isn't even the tip of the iceberg, but great advice that I see a lot of companies not taking, right? They kind of get excited about the new, technology, the new toys, and they want to start playing with them before they've done due diligence with all that. Elizabeth, thank you so much. Amazing session. Thank you for the Q&A time afterwards. Really appreciate it. Everybody, remember in the chat history, you can connect with Elizabeth on her LinkedIn. It's up at the top of the chat there. I'd encourage you to do that. And check out the NICE website if you want to get into some more demos. Thank you again, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Hey guys, fantastic presentation and Q&A session. That people really enjoyed it, and thanks, Elizabeth, because I know that all of this is sort of new announcements from NICE. So, and you were very, very busy last week. I'd like to thank everyone that joined us today, everybody that asked questions, especially our sponsor, NICE, and our speakers, Elizabeth Tobey again, Head of Marketing Digital Solutions at NICE, and Geoff Abels, thanks so much, Managing Partner of C5 Insight, and also our Chairman of Smart Customer Services as well. For anyone that would want to review the event or send it to a colleague, you can, don't worry, you'll get an email once the event is posted later this week. And the winner of the Amazon gift card for this session is Lisa Straight. Congratulations, Lisa. We'll follow up with an email to connect you with your prize in a little bit. So that concludes us for today, but please join us on our next session starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, optimizing customer experience while dealing with reduced staff and budget cuts. I hope to see you later today. Thanks everybody for coming.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you again.